Alright everybody, this video is going to talk about the distributive property. The distributive property is very simple once you get the idea down and once you understand some of the basics of multiplication in general. So the distributive property is when you can take a group. A group is represented by parentheses. Now parentheses simply are holding this basically as these two can go together first, but the only issue is most of the time with parentheses in algebra is that they'll have x's in them, and so we can't add an x and a 2, and so we'll probably go to the next step. The next step would be, because in order of operations, what we'll talk about here in a little bit, we would do inside the parentheses first, and then we would do multiplication. This 3 is sitting right next to the parentheses. Now, they'll hardly ever have something like a dot or an X or something like that we talked about earlier with multiplication. It'll simply be sitting there. Now, if there's no signs, you can automatically assume that it's multiplying. Now, parentheses for algebra and probably from now on in math means to multiply. So we need to get this 3 to multiply by this group. In order to do that, a visual for a lot of people and for myself is that we do these two little lines. Now the two lines represent that this is going to multiply to each piece of this group. And so I've kind of done a visual here. So now we have 3 times x, which would be 3x. And we also have 3 times 2. Now this works because we can multiply these pieces without having to find x still. So now we have 3x plus 6. An example or a way that I've explained this before that I thought about is that algebra is finding everything it can about problems without solving for x to begin or to end with. So it's going to do everything it can to solve for x if we don't have an equal sign, and we can do a whole bunch of stuff like this. So 3 times x, that gives me 3x, 3 times 2, that gives me 6. And the order of this doesn't matter. See how the 2 is now on the right side. The 2 still would do the same thing. It would multiply by each piece of the group. So now it's 3 times 2 and x times 2. And so if we were to rewrite this, it would be, it'd be 6 and I always put the numbers first, so it would be 2x. And that's a good habit to do. I think I've said that before in other videos. So this is, once again, just multiplication. It's a form of multiplication that we've done before. So, same thing with negatives or subtraction signs. Same exact process. You're going to have your visuals there. So now it's 5 times 6, which would be 30, and negative 5 times x, which would be negative 5x. So, here would be what you would look at or look for at the end. So that would be this. Once again, it doesn't matter the order, okay? There you go. So, hopefully that helps you. Let's do some examples here that I have. I'm going to erase part of these here. So, here is your example. Hopefully, what I would suggest is taking your time and pressing pause on the video and solving these. So hopefully you tried them out, had a chance to do that. So your answer for this would be 4y plus 12. Okay, so we multiplied the 4 times the y and the 4 times the 3. This one, again, order of this doesn't matter. I'm going to just go this way. Now, y times a y, we talked about this earlier, and I talked about it earlier because I wanted you to see it often. So y times y, we can't necessarily multiply it, but we can show that while we can show a way for us in the future to know what to do with it. So y squared would be y times y, which is what we have there. So now this would be 7y. So let's move on to the subtraction. Subtraction for me, I feel like when I'm working with people doing algebra, the subtraction seems to be the big hang-up for a lot of people. So hopefully it's not for you. Once again, I have an n times an n. That'd be n squared. Now I have an n times the negative 9, so that's negative, and the number goes first, 9n. Okay? All right. Let's look at this. Well, let's explain something else. So you'll notice that now I have a y squared and a 7y. These are actually not like terms because of this. You can't put these two together because of the exponent. All right, so I have a y squared and a y to the first power. So these cannot go together. So they would stay just how they are like that. So working with this again, so it's 8 times 2, and then 8 times negative n. Just kidding, hang on. Did that wrong here. Okay, that looks better. All right, sorry. Okay, so we got that all figured out. Worked into our problems, worked down the line, everything's good, and now we'll move on to the next section.